that was your audio test.
Drivers, to your cars.
Wow, I really thought I'd done that much more quiet. Welcome to Gateway for the NORL Busch Bonanza Schnucks Supermarkets 225. Front row got Tommy Davis and Mike Carroll. Behind him, Spear and Mersdorf. Whitman and Stout, Tonto and Diggs. Gunk and Beresford. McDonald and Vatcher. Womack and Drake. Sheldrick and Rains. Cheeseman and McComas. Farrell and Scott. Phillips and Torgeson. White and who is that? And Stephen Lowe. Fitzmaurice and Inkman. Doug Spark and Tom Barber. Yari Rodriguez, and I actually can't tell. I believe that's Dwight York. Let's pan back until we actually find the car. Yep, that is Dwight York. Mulner Hill. Mulder Hill. Stephen Davis, Kevin Corbett, and Jared Mogard. Dave Daniels, Nigel Ramaswamy, Rod Weston, Isaac Groth, JT Armstrong, and Jacob Stump. And on the final row, Jack Painter and Reno Jackson bring up the tail of the field. 180 laps, 225 miles from this 1.25 mile asymmetrically shaped speedway. Nothing about either end is the same other than that it's a left turn. And I guess we got through the field too fast. What can I bullshit about? Absolutely nothing. We should get the command here shortly. It's usually right about 5 minutes, isn't it? Carroll comes into the race leading the points. Have to see if he comes out leading the points or not. Still some battles. Spark and Corbett have been slowly working their way up into the top 20 of points. They might do it today. Womack and
drivers, start your engines. Is that okay?
that might be my favorite start your engines that any sound pack ever had. And we roll off. We'll have to see if, as I was saying, Womack and Fitzmaurice will start working their way up to the points table. They are starting from a huge deficit, but those cars look to finally be on song. They've finally sorted out their issues. As the field takes to the speedway. Crowd ready for some action. Pace car ready to come on in. Off of turn 4, pace car will peel away into the pit lane. And we are green, green, green from Gateway. Carroll going to try to make the outside work here in 1 and 2. Doesn't quite work. Davis is going to get clear. Down the back stretch. And up to speed they come to complete the first lap. Mike going to look for a run here down the front stretch. He's going to peek to the inside. Carroll looking for the lead. He's going to have it off into turn 3. Mersdorf fighting Sphere for third. And Mike Carroll is going to lead the second lap. I said Speedway is very asymmetrical. 1 and 2 are a tighter radius, but have much more banking than 3 and 4. 3 and 4 very flat, but a lot more broad. Makes it kind of an interesting combination. Some drivers had said in practice they were going to be shifting in turn 1. I'm not sure that anybody's actually doing that now. Kind of depends on how you set up the car, whether you're going to do that. Mersdorf here fighting with Whitman. The 4th spot now. Mersdorf having faded back away from Sphere. Whitman right there on the bumper. Gonna stick the nose in there off the corner. Has to let off, though. That's gonna let Ron Stout get a run on him on the outside. As Sphere's up there having a look for second. Stout trying to make the high side work. Gonna need the momentum here down the back, but doesn't look like he's gonna get it. And now Diggs gonna look to the inside. Stout's gonna try to hold some momentum there on the high side, but isn't getting it. Whitman's cleared him. But he did keep better momentum than Diggs, and he will clear Diggs from the looks of it. As Sphere moves up into second. Tonto now looking on the outside here. Diggs, not much doing there. Let's see, Spear starting to pull up on the back of Carroll here. We might have a battle for the lead here in a couple of moments. About 10 seconds covers the whole field. Ooh, Sphere gets a run, gets to the bumper. He's going to have to let off. Gonna let Davis get a run at him. And they all settle back in here. Top 4 under a blanket. Bit of a gap forming behind. It has proved in the past to be a little difficult for some of these guys to make passes here, which means pit strategy may matter. You can get a jump on somebody in the pits. That may be the easiest way to pass them once the tires start to wear. Sphere looking to the bottom again. Just can't get the run off the corner doing that. That's going to stack him up here for second. Davis looked to the high side. That might have been a mistake. That might let Mersdorf take over that third spot. But Mersdorf couldn't clear him. And now Davis will get the run off the corner. Here comes Whitman. Whitman doesn't quite clear him at the apex. Mersdorf's going to roll the center real good and get clear off. Sphere once again looked at that low side, but there was nothing doing. Look at that run. You just can't go anywhere on exit, though, because they keep you pinned down. And now the battle again is for third. Mersdorf right on the bumper here. And Isaac Groth is pulled into the garage area. Smoke coming out from under the hood of that one. Sounds like it's a day over for the 64 team. Short day for them. They're going to go ahead and pack up, but unfortunately they can't get out of here until the race is over. Still a little spring-like with the pollen counts. Davis. All right. There we go. I think I cleared it there. Alright. So starting to break away here at the front. These top 4, maybe 5, Whitman trying to stay with them. They seem to lose ground to Carroll and then come back to him, which I think they're just a little bit faster, but not enough to get a pass done. You know, like, you just pin them down and they're not going to get you there off of 4. And now Carroll started to jet away a bit. Corbett and Spark with each other running 31st and 32nd. Still only the 1 car out of the race. Jacob Stump has faded to the last car running. But still quite some time before we expect the leaders to actually encounter any traffic. Place race is a little bit like a short track in some respects, but it's got the size of a speedway. A bit like Milwaukee, maybe. Especially this end of the track. This end of the track's a little Milwaukee-esque. You'll have guys, though. They'll have a car that'll work really well on one end and not the other, just because of how different each end of the track is here. It's a little bit like Darlington in that respect. See if we can go back in the field. Here we go. We got Cheeseman and Drake having a little bit of a scrap here just outside the top 10. Cheeseman looks to have the spot for now, right up behind Womack. Not seen a lot of this Lowe's machine yet this season, but looks like they finally got that program heading in the right direction. Cheeseman's right on him now. Nice little scrap. It's just like I said, with some of these other battles, it's a little difficult to actually get the job done here. You almost have to dive them off into turn 1. The problem is timing your run. Ooh, a little bit of a block there. Womack moved a little bit before the turning point. These 3 under a blanket again. I really do think they're faster than Mike. They just can't get around him. They're right there at his bumper, but can't do anything about it. Pack's starting to spread out now, about 18 seconds in it. What's the leader? Leaders are doing 33s. Do a custom version of this track where I fix the back straightaway objects. Like, this track looks really good from the walls inward, but like they got rid of all the objects the converter track actually did a really good job with on the backstretch. Like the truck stop's gone, the landfill's gone. It's like, what are we doing? Those were good objects. The landfill maybe not as good as some of the others, but it was passable. There's certainly not a line of trees just off the backstretch. There's a highway there and a truck stop. Yeah, they're kind of keeping a good gap from Mersdorf, but they're not really getting anywhere. Let's go to the high shot here where we can kind of get a broad shot of the speedway here. Yeah, they like pull up to Mike, then they fade away, they pull up again, they fade away again. They just can't quite get and stay close. And maybe there is a car out here that's faster than Mike, but I certainly think there is, but they haven't gotten around him. There might be a few of these guys, if they get around him, they'll disappear into the sunset. Yeah, here we have Davis looking. He gets his nose in there and he just has to lift, otherwise you're going to get to the exit of that corner and you're going to just absolutely clean the guy out. And that's kind of brought him back a little bit away from Mike again. Let him stretch it a little bit. But I think both of these guys are faster than Mike if they can ever get around him. Mike drifts high there a little bit. I don't know if that hurt him. Doesn't look like it. Go over your bumper cam on this 50. Give us an idea where he's ebbing and flowing in the cycle here. Really, they're gonna pull right up and watch Mike. Mike's gonna just protect the outside here on exit. That's all he's got to do. They gotta find a way to generate the run, and they're just not finding it. Or if you can get to his inside earlier. They're trying to go for it at the middle of the corner. This is the closest we've seen him. Now Mike's going to protect the high line here. Rotate the car off, and look at that. He stretches a little bit here. And now Gino's not close enough to do anything. That's all he's got to do is keep him at arm's length. Like, he can see him. He's right there. He just can't get to him to do anything about it. And this may be a matter of waiting until we hit traffic and letting traffic help us. But we still got a ways to go before we're going to reach that traffic up there. We can see him now, but we're not catching him fast enough to really be all that concerned about it. Still just the one open. We've got a caution there as they crash in turn one. We see the tail end of it. Looks like Jared Mogard involved. Let's see if we can determine what happens. Doug Spark may have been involved in this as well. Let's see. I think Spark dumped him. Gets hooked, hooks him, puts him in the fence. Both cars hit the wall decently hard. And Mogard's going to have some damage to fix. And Mogard just hit the pit wall for some reason, trying to get back around. I think the crew told him, hey, you don't want to pit here just yet. Carroll coming in, though. And we will watch the field come into the pits. This should bring everybody in. Ran 30 some odd laps. Good time for new tires, top off the fuel, and make whatever adjustments to the chassis that we need. Ouch. Hold on. See who's going to win the race off. I'll put my money on this 50 crew. And Mike Carroll will win the race off of pit road. Davis, long stop, still sitting. He's going to lose a ton of spots. And here comes Spark and Mogard off of pit road, both having now fixed their damage from their little altercation. Just the one car out of the race still. Isaac Groth, the only vehicle that has called it a day.
Member joined.
Why, hello there. And let's see. Davis has dropped to P7.
Hey there.
Hello, Kevin. Welcome to the Bonanza race.
Oh, shoot.
Working our first caution. Doug Spark decided he'd had enough of Jared Mogard and wrecked both of them.
Attaboy.
Didn't do him any favors, and track position's been pretty important so far. Was commenting that it's weird that the JS version of this track that really greatly improved like everything inside the walls just absolutely got rid of any of the objects on the back straightaway and just put trees back there.
Oof.
I think I might do a custom edit where I add back in the converter version truck stop and landfill because it does look a little better with something back there.
I'm sure there's probably other options.
There are 3 versions of this track. There's the JS, the converter, and the FSE. The FSE is based...
I mean, for adding background stuff, there's probably better textures to use.
I mean, I already retextured them once before. The landfill I could probably actually do with a better object entirely, but it's just kind of funny that all the versions of this track have something that's really, really off with them. But of the versions, this is kind of the one that I think looks the best.
Well, it could be worse. It could be the Arca Sim Racing version.
Yeah, where they think it's in the river.
Yeah.
It was really weird for them to, like, be making that game as, yeah, this is supposed to be an Arca Sim, and when they show the screenshots, I'm like, track looks really good, although I think the arch is too close. They're like, oh, it's an artistic choice. I'm like, I thought you were making a simulation, but okay.
It's a 90% simulation. It's 10%
Apparently.
for artistic freedom.
Yeah, that's why Salem has witches on the walls, and,
Yeah. No, that's a different Salem.
That's an artistic choice. They put Berlin on a battlefield. Bunch of trenches, some Germans and French guys shooting at each other. Pace cars in.
They changed the name from Berlin to Marne specifically because of World War II.
World War One, but that was the joke, yes. Yes, they named it after a World War One battlefield where the French were and the British were fighting the Germans. But the racetrack was still named Berlin for some reason.
Yeah. It's hilarious. They changed the name of the town because of,
What the track came later.
But the track's fine.
Well, the track came years later, didn't it?
No, the track, it opened as a fairground and horse track before it was racing back in like the 20s.
Alright.
Yeah. It's like if you look very closely at the outline of the property, you can see the original half-mile configuration was a horse track. It was kind of square-shaped like Flemington.
Did it snow there too?
It does snow in Marne, Michigan rather frequently.
But like if somebody spins out, is there a freak snowstorm in the corner?
Well, I don't know about that. There's no styrofoam blocks on the property that I'm aware of. So if I ever get around to finishing my new Berlin Red R3, I can have even more changes than need to make.
Oh boy, does it include people trying to wipe a guy out and flipping themselves over?
Yeah, fuck Scott. Anyways, but no, they added a new inside wall in turns 3 and 4, so that's...
Did they make the pit road bigger?
Actually, yes!
Oh, that'll help.
They got the old storing tower on the front straightaway, built a new one next to the tire barn, and they made the tech line 2 lanes instead of 1, so that way tech can go by quicker. So those are a few changes that I will now have to incorporate in my new version of Berlin if I ever finish it.
Let's see, I swear there was something that just... Oh, did you hear about the 14 team?
Yes.
They're running like shit and still cheating.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, forged parts?
It was a
Yeah, it was a spec part. Yeah, it was a spec
but
part
he
that
said that
they
it was like a
didn't buy.
mock-up part. No, he said his explanation was that was a mock-up part that was just kind of a placeholder until they got the real one, and they just never installed the real one. And he's like, that was an absolute cock-up on our part. We're not going to fight this penalty because we should have noticed that.
It seems to me that if I'm using mock-up parts, that I'm like painting them bright red or some sort of tag on them so that at a visual inspection you go, oh shit, that's not supposed to be on the car.
Right.
Remove before race tags or something.
Right. Or big red X somewhere.
I don't know, making them out of styrofoam so you don't think that it's actually usable and can't actually get out on track with it.
Right.
Ooh, battle for second.
Crispy treat.
Treats.
So that way when you remove it, you also have a snack.
You know what's weird? I haven't really eaten anything in 2 days, and I don't know why. Like, I've snacked on some stuff. I've eaten some gummy worms and, like, 4 or 5 chocolate chip cookies. But I haven't, like, I didn't have a meal yesterday. I haven't had a meal today, and I'm just, like, all I've had was the hankering for a couple of cookies, and then I was good. Like, it's just sort of weird.
Like an odd question. How's your anxiety or depression?
Well, you know what? I have been a little anxious.
Oh, that's it right there. So,
And what?
You've been there, done that. I get it.
Yeah, well, I do that a lot. Where sometimes I also just like don't remember to eat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like your anxiety gets going and it's going.
I'm not even sure what I'm super anxious about. Like I have some like there are certainly things I can identify that give me a little bit of anxiety, but they should not be like causing me that much trouble.
Well, a bunch of things that give you a little anxiety does add up to a lot.
I suppose, but
Trust me, like I said, I understand this on a level that I shouldn't have to. Get it.
man, it would be really great if these guys could finish a pass off of turn 4, but they go for the inside and get pinned down, and then can't finish the pass. Everybody gets away. What'd you say?
Oh, you said great, so I just went Tony the Tiger.
Ah. Ooh, something just happened to Gino there. Guy's going by him quickly. I think this car just broke. Beresford's not going around him. He's going for the pit lane. Fuel system damage. Going to the pits. They've got a problem. He's got no fuel pressure. Gino Sphere heading for the pits. I love that I turned on the telemetry so I can know what's actually wrong with the car. And the whole field is basically gone by. Yep, he's gone straight to 41st. Well, we're going to see if they're going to get that thing going again or if it's day done. Well,
You're hearing the music from Mario Kart Double Dash and you finish in 8th.
Well, they're trying to put fuel in it and see what'll happen. Here comes the field past, so he's going to lose a lap. Not a big surprise there. They're hitting it with sticks, seeing what it'll do.
When in doubt, beat the shit out of it.
Still sitting here. The crew has befuddled looks on their faces.
I too am befuddled over this.
If you've ever seen a cat try to work a microwave, that's the kind of looks they're having at this car, and it's finally moving.
A cat doing what?
A cat trying to work a microwave.
Like a monkey typing Shakespeare.
Yeah, but it might succeed eventually. Like monkeys have some ability to actually type. Cats can't even push the buttons on the microwave. They just hear beeping and, okay, well, I've never seen a cat push a button on a microwave.
I have.
Did it microwave itself? Is that how it microwaved the puppy?
No.
Well, Sphere has lost 2 laps now. Kevin, I don't know how to tell you this. I think you had a raccoon.
No, it was definitely a cat. Speaking of raccoons, there was one hanging out in my work yesterday, just like staring at me in the garage door. I'm like, what the fuck do you want?
Did you name it?
Staring at me like I'm... No.
Oh, I know some nice raccoons.
Like I was doing something wrong. I'm like, I work here, bro. What are you doing here?
I don't know. I can think of some raccoons I wouldn't mind having around.
Well, I want to make a joke, but I'll pass.
Oh, you wanted to make a joke? What kind of joke were you wanting to make that you bailed out on?
You're streaming on YouTube, so I'm trying to keep it friendly.
Jesus, what the fuck's wrong? What, a JB style joke?
No, not like that.
Oh, okay.
Still might go against the community guidelines, so I'm just not gonna.
I mean,
Give me credit, Tim. I'm showing restraint.
yeah, I mean, there's that. You like the new sponsor on the 31?
Can't really see because I just got the player on the screen here. Version. Oh.
Speaking of some nice raccoons,
That
that's why I highlighted it. I'm like, is there a reason you're not going to make this joke? Is Mike Carroll and Joe Mersdorf just stretch away from the field now?
I do like the way that 48 comes out, so that's a nice fancy.
That was actually when I wasn't thrilled with how it came out.
I think it looks pretty decent. I don't know.
Like, I was like, okay, Tony wants a 48 Lowe's car? Alright, well, how do I do that where it's not a... It's like, how do I do that where it's not a Jimmy Johnson car? Like, the front half certainly works, but I think the back half sort of falls apart a little.
I think it's solid. I would have found a way to incorporate maybe a color somewhere, but...
Yeah, well, the problem is, besides maybe a touch of red, Lowe's doesn't have many colors. I did go with the classic Hendrick neon yellow numbers, though.
Well, as God intended.
Do you remember the thread on Rubbins Racing of yellow numberize all the cars?
Yes.
Where there were some great cursed ones. I don't remember who did it. Some of them I know I made a few, but I don't remember who did the yellow numbered Dale Senior scheme. I don't think it was me.
I talked to a few of the guys that were on that forum on NASCAR subreddit. Apparently that forum's come back.
It did, but it was never as lively, and that was sort of... Yeah, it wasn't lively enough for me to check it. I miss the Rura forum, but fucking Reddit and Twitter killed off the forums. It feels like.
It really did.
Which is really funny.
It basically is just a forum, but
not quite as good.
Not quite. I mean, it's good. It's not quite as good, and it's centralized. That's the difference.
What Reddit
centralized forums.
What Reddit's always been missing for me is it's sometimes very hard to get a good chronological feed of what's happening, especially with the replies, because replies, well, they're threaded nicely under what they came in from. If somebody says something, then new information comes in, you kind of have to look at reply times to figure out if somebody replying to one guy knows the other thing that somebody else pointed out, and it gets really muddied.
Yeah.
And like
it's not the best, but it's
the race threads. The race threads at Rura were much better than the live threads are on Reddit.
Oh god, yes.
The Reddit live threads are worthless. They might as well just find a way to just do a fucking chat room instead of a thread. A chat room would work better. However, I will say,
r/NASCAR tried that a few times, but apparently it's too many people for it to work. Like it breaks because it's too many people.
Yeah, they probably need to use an outside software, unfortunately, because Reddit's just not set up for it. But
yeah, but the thing I missed with Rubbins Racing the most was making my yearly Indianapolis 500 thread. I had a lot of fun maintaining that.
I honestly, my favorite thing was to pick the race winner and like the paint scheme sections and that kind of stuff, and then just the general bullshit.
The paint scheme gallery on there was the best one anywhere.
It made J-Ski look like a piece of shit, because J-Ski is a piece of shit.
I mean, you could find anything, any year, is indexed perfectly.
Yeah. I enjoyed finding old F1 photos and like adding to the F1 catalog.
The original form went down was all that was gone. That hurt.
Yeah. Trying to think, what were some other
You
good
needed to
sites that
work
went away?
really hard to do it.
There were a few other like good sites of that era, but I can't remember what some of them were. Rura was the one I went to like every day, multiple times a day to see what was going on.
The only other one that's like old school that I miss is racing1.com because they were actually really good at what they did, but then MRN bought it out, so.
It's actually funny. There's still a number of people on my Xbox Live friends list. They're just people I knew from Rura.
I believe that.
I only ever see them pop up like as drivatars now in like Forza or anything. But it's like, okay, hey, they like I'll see them on my leaderboards. Go, hey, they actually play this game still.
Well, I just find it funny that NASCAR 21 Mission is such a steaming pile of shit that NASCAR Heat 5 is still relevant.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing online lobbies in NASCAR Heat 5 right now. I'm having fun with it. And it's like, we were all bitching about Heat 5, but if only we knew. I don't think anybody would have complained about Heat 5 ever again.
I feel like there hasn't been what I would describe as a really good NASCAR console game in 2 console generations.
To me, the last, like, really good console NASCAR game was 06.
Well, wasn't that?
Even 06 was kind of a piece of shit.
I'm trying to remember which gen that was on. That was early 360?
Original Xbox PS2.
Okay, then that would be 3 console generations ago.
Yeah. Oh,
I I thought they'd gotten a good one out right at the end of that, but I don't know.
Because 07 was basically a copy paste of 06. They just tweaked some of the problems.
That was actually already. Oh my god! It just realizes how long I've really had kind of a vendetta against EA. I was already sort of boycotting them at that point.
Yeah, by the time 07 came around, like, because 06 was, even though 06 was good, there was just enough things wrong with it that just turned me off. 05 is still goated, under 03 and 04 goated, but
Never got to play 04. They never put it on a system I own.
good news, Tim. Called emulation.
Yeah, but why would I go back and play that now? If I'm going to go back and play an old NASCAR game, I'm going to play one that I really like that I know runs well on my PC. Hey, would you look at that? It's NASCAR Racing 2003.
Well, I'll put it this way, Tim. I just have a gaming laptop, and Thunder 04 runs flawlessly on the PS2.
I run into weird issues with emulators from time to time, so I usually just avoid them.
Most of those issues have been solved with the PS2 emulator, and the Dolphin emulator at this point is flawless.
Yeah, until you can no longer find it.
You find it still.
They may have just shot themselves in the foot. They tried to get themselves listed on Steam, and now Nintendo is going after them.
They're only going after the Steam page. If you go to their website,
Yeah, we'll see how long it stays that way. The last thing you want to do when you're doing that kind of stuff is have Nintendo know you exist.
Right, yeah, like I said, they definitely, I was actually watching a video on that last night, and yeah, they definitely kind of shot themselves in the foot there.
They needed to find a way to have it be software that they didn't call it an emulator, and I don't know what else it can do. That's, I think, all it does. Because it does what? GameCube and Wii?
Well, you can make your own homebrew games that work, and that's what they were trying to really market it as on the Steam page, but because they do have some actual Nintendo code in the emulator, that's where they got in trouble.
Yeah,
and
shocking.
Nintendo's like, look, if you want to do this on your own private website, whatever, fine. But
well, yeah, because there is some point where they can't do anything.
Well, where Nintendo got pissed is you put it on the Steam page, that means you use it on Steam Deck, which directly goes against their cash cow at the moment with the Switch.
Yeah, there is
where
that.
they have a problem with it. Is, if you make it where it's easily accessible on Steam, now you're actually eating into our profits.
Well, and it's a slam dunk for their lawyers. Like, it's one thing when somebody puts out some janky homebrew shit that you gotta like hack to get onto the system. That yeah, they can go after these people, but it's not a huge amount of people that are doing it, so it's not an immediate like, hey, we just go to fucking Valve and say no, and it gets pulled. No, we actually have to find the people that made this and spend a lot of money to do this. Whereas you try to list something on the Steam storefront that, Nintendo's like, this is a slam dunk. They just go to Valve, and Valve's like, yeah, no, that's not going up.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is Nintendo's not innocent in this either, because if they made these games available for sale where they didn't you have to get an ISO file to play them?
Well, some of these games they have, but
Yes,
not
but
all
the
of them.
vast majority of GameCube games and Wii games, really, there's no way to play them
Nintendo
outside
would make an argument.
of purchasing.
Nintendo would make an argument. Some of those games have been replaced by a newer installment, so there's no need for them. But I see what you're saying. I don't disagree with you entirely. I would like Virtual Console.
I forget what it was called. Twilight Princess, I think it was.
Yeah, that was on Wii and GameCube.
You can't buy that. Yeah, you can't buy that from Nintendo.
Wait a minute. I think you actually can. I think
from what I understand.
I'm pretty sure there's an HD remaster that you can't actually buy from Nintendo.
Okay, well that might have been a bad example.
I know for a fact that Wind Waker had an HD remaster. No talking. Only grunting and weird Tim Allen sound effects.
What I'm saying was, like, that was a bad example, but there are games out there where you can't buy them from Nintendo in any official capacity. The only way you can buy them is third party, so that money's not going to Nintendo the fuck anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you.
If you're that bent about, not getting money from it, then make it available. It's obviously possible. If a bunch of, reuse open source project people can figure it out, I'm pretty damn sure Nintendo can too.
Yeah, I think part of it is the infrastructure to actually do some of that. Like, they're doing a decent amount with Virtual Console on the Switch, but I know that as they get much beyond N64, the file sizes that they have to host get bigger and bigger.
As if they can't afford it.
Well, the problem is that people are already bitching, oh, Switch Online's too expensive for what we're getting out of N64 games. I'm sitting here thinking, go out there and try to, like, pay for the storage space to host these files yourself for your own use, and you're going to go, oh, wait a minute.
Right, but like I said, though, at least that gives you the option, and it's legal, and, whatever, but in the meantime, until that can get figured, like, yeah, no, until they can figure it out, then don't be going after people for just wanting to play their freaking game.
Yeah, honestly, the big thing always was, I remember years ago in the emulation community, it's like the emulator's pretty much, bulletproof. Legally, we can make this thing, as long as we don't literally steal anything word for word. If we reverse engineer it, we're kind of working in some gray area, but it's legal. It's the question is, okay, but the ISOs. It's like, that's hosting those is problematic.
If you look at all these emulators, they straight up say,
yeah, find your own files.
Recommend you do this.
Yeah, that's the funny thing with it.
If someone actually goes and does it, you can't control that, but...
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've got some ISOs sitting around for a couple of GameCube games and a bunch of N64 games, but I just don't even have the emulator installed because I just don't. Part of it's also I don't feel like getting a controller set up to even deal with it. It's like a handful of these games I really, really wanted to play them. I could go grab some stuff out of my parents' basement and just go play them. And a lot of them, like some of the N64 games, I go back and I'm like, oh, there's a reason that we have new consoles. These games look terrible.
Yeah. No, for me, though, the way I see it is, like, I don't want to have a physical console for everything. So it's just easier for me to just have an emulator on my PC, just fire it up. Like, if I want to play Chase for the Cup 05 on a wild hair, all I gotta do is just boot up Dolphin and good to go. I don't need to have a GameCube and buy this adapter and mod it this way so that way it works with modern televisions and all that crap.
Well, why buy a GameCube? Get a Wii. The Wii didn't the Wii support HDMI?
Nope.
Was it the Wii U that did then? But I don't remember if the Wii U kept backwards compatibility with the GameCube.
It did not.
Oh, that's kind of silly. I know there's. I swear that there was a iteration of the Wii that had HDMI, but maybe it didn't. The Wii and the Wii U got weird because it was hard.
Version 2 did, but it didn't have backwards compatibility with GameCube.
That's silly. It was really funny. There were some late GameCube games that didn't run great on GameCube. They ran great on the Wii.
Yeah, they were made specifically for that purpose at that point.
Well, some of them came out like a year before the Wii went on sale. It was just EA being a little lazy, I think. I forget what it was. There was a basketball game that the frame rate would drop badly on GameCube, and a year later when the Wii came out, and then another year later when we finally got one, it ran great on that.
Then Madden 06 also did not run very well on GameCube.
I tell you what, there is like one N64 game that I really, 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 really want in Virtual Console on the Switch. Like there's not much else I had on there that's like, A, that I have any hope would ever come out anyway, and B, that I really want. I want my fucking Diddy Kong Racing, goddammit.
Yeah, right.
We got GoldenEye.
Bought by Microsoft.
We got GoldenEye. Oh, we got Steve Inkman stopped in the middle of the fucking track. That's probably a yellow, I would suspect. Sweet, near halfway. Like we also got Banjo-Kazooie, so I suspect that it's a thing that might happen. Yep, caution is out.
Well, considering Microsoft and Nintendo are actually getting along right now.
Yeah, well, it's because they both kind of they both kind of reach this weird point where they're sort of like, we compete with each other a little bit, but not enough to really have an issue. We can work together. And
well, just the days of console exclusives, I think, are dying.
there was some big Sony thing that I just saw the day one was going to be on PC. The day after, oh yeah, Inkman had an engine failure. It was like a day after a bunch of people were like, oh yeah, fucking Microsoft doesn't have any exclusives. Sony's got all the good exclusives. I'm like, okay, whatever. I can't think of a single Sony exclusive that I would buy a system for.
My PC right now, right?
I literally can't think of
the Spider-Man games and Gran Turismo and MLB The Show. That was really the only things that Sony had going for them. And I can play MLB The Show on my Switch now.
Yeah, well that was Major League Baseball that did that to me. I'm trying to think like Gran Turismo back in the day was the only one, but then Microsoft got Forza, and I'm like, oh, I actually like this better.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. It's like I still like Gran Turismo, I do.
The last one I played was maybe 4.
Yeah, same. Because that was when the original Forza came out too. It was when 4 was out, and it's like.
If I remember correctly, the big thing Forza had was a damage model.
It doesn't have as many cars. It doesn't have as.
Ooh, Mike Carroll lost the lead in the pits.
Physics are better. Forza did do great. They did way better than Gran Turismo did. I just never really looked back after that. I still contend to this day that Forza peaked Motorsport 4.
Motorsport 4, I think, was my favorite one. 7 was okay. It could have been great with a couple of just minor little tweaks, like more campaign races and races that were class-based and country-based as well. Would have probably had made that game perfect.
And you know what? We'll see how the new Forza Motorsport is too. I've been seeing some things that I'm like, I don't know, but a lot of it I'm seeing is like, oh, this looks pretty good.
I think I'm sort of at the point, if they turn in something that is even like 5% better than 7, I'll be happy with it. There's a lot of people that are just pissy about everything, and they could literally give them a remake of 4 with modern technology and all that shit, and they'd still find something to be pissed about. That, oh, the game costs $70 or some shit, and they'd throw a fucking pissy fit about that. So who knows? It's kind of annoying. It's not the only, but basically every franchise has this, but there's just become so much toxicity in every fan base that no matter what you give them, people are going to be pissed. And it's a little upsetting. Did I tell you about the recent thing that's been kind of an ongoing thing on a subreddit for one of the games I fucking love that we haven't gotten a good game for since, 2006?
I don't believe I'm aware of.
Okay, so the Star Fox subreddit. You want to hear the drama that's been going on that subreddit?
Oh, that's not any good.
People getting upset about fan art, complaining that there's too much not safe for work fan art on the sub. First off, one of the rules of the sub is that all art must be safe for work. The piece of art I saw somebody complaining about was one of the female characters wearing a one-piece swimsuit at the beach. In the first game she's in In the first game she's in, she's wearing a loincloth and a bikini top. She was more clothed in the fan art. It's like, dude, you're just upset because it's making you feel weird things and you don't know how you feel about it. That's why you're upset. You're upset because you've just realized that this fan art might have made you a furry and you're not happy about it.
Yep, that's probably it, yeah.
And it's like, bro, welcome to me in 2006. Rod Weston's been sitting in the pits for a few laps. 57, camshaft failed on that one. Hey, Gino's going to get a spot here next time around, it looks like. It was just, there's still some people griping about the fan art, going, oh, look at all this lewd fan art. The last one was the same character in jeans and a tank top. And it was the same, oh, this is lewd. Like, her two canon appearances are in a bikini and loincloth and a fucking cat suit. What the fuck are you talking about? So fucking funny. It would be about like people complaining about, I don't know, fan art of Princess Peach saying, oh, you're reinforcing gender stereotypes by putting her in a dress. Like, she wears a dress in everything but the sports games, my dude.
Real.
Or the couple of games you can play her and she wears a cat suit, but as a cat, not the same kind of skin type cat suit thing.
Depends on if you're playing an official Mario game or a fan made.
You notice how Nintendo gets a little pissy about some of those fan games, especially when they start doing that shit? Nintendo protects their IP. If they care. It's a constant kind of joke in the Star Fox community and the F-Zero community, is that Nintendo fucking hates us and is never going to give us a new game. The Metroid community was there for a while, and then all of a sudden they started getting new games.
Maybe your time will come.
The last Star Fox game was on the Wii U, and it wasn't very good because they went with motion control gimmick and decided they were just going to remake 64, basically. The narrative was a remake of 64. They did a cool little animated cartoon thing for it that I don't think was in the game, but was in the promotional material. The problem is whoever made it didn't know the fucking lore of their own series, because there's a couple of places where I'm like, wait a minute, I watched them like, that was well done and I enjoyed that, but hold up, you guys violated your own canon here, hang on. You can't name drop a planet that the character shouldn't know the name of because this game hasn't happened yet, where they find out the name of the planet. This is fucked up. Come on, guys, you should know this.
They should be fired out of a cannon into the sun.
Exactly. It was just the worst thing ever. Literally unwatchable. Well, Joe Mersdorf now leads. Mike Carroll having lost the lead in the pits, which is unfortunate as we near halfway. See, what other stupid shit can we get upset about? What was it? I saw somebody upset about something this morning. It was really fucking stupid, too. I did see people, and I can understand this little bit of annoyance. Should Chase really get a waiver because he got suspended for being a fuckstick?
I mean, I think it's fair, but I can understand why people would be like,
Yeah,
oh, it's stupid.
It feels like it should be evaluated that, like, I get granting a waiver for the playoffs because you got suspended. Maybe just change the rule that you have to attempt all the races that you're eligible for. That way, if somebody gets hurt, NASCAR can just deem them medically ineligible, and if somebody's suspended, they've been deemed ineligible by the suspension, so that goes out the window. And then maybe to make it a little bit more of a punishment, dock some more points when you do this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just kind of feels like, oh, he gets to miss a race, and he's already won this season, hadn't he?
I don't think he has.
Oh, I thought he won like the first week back. If he'd already won, then it's even doubly stupid. If he hasn't won, then it's like, okay, whatever. Which reminds me, whoever in fantasy has him might wanna sub him out.
Yeah, it might be.
Nobody's had to worry about Alex Bowman because I think he's been riding my bench.
Corey LaJoy's getting this chance.
Yeah.
Shot at some top tier stuff.
It's gonna be hilarious if he wins the race. Wait a minute. If Corey LaJoy wins the race, wouldn't that put him in the playoffs just in the fucking Spire car in the playoffs.
Yeah, because the rule isn't based on team; it's based on participation.
That would be really funny, but I doubt that we really will have to worry about that.
And I'm also very happy that my boy Carson Hocevar getting his fucking
Yeah,
debut out of this.
all I'm gonna say is I've noticed that he's very quickly becoming disliked by a lot of the fan base on a lot of the truck series. It seems.
Yeah, well, that's their problem.
Man, these guys cannot get around Gino, and it's letting Mersdorf get away.
Gosh, every time I go to play Forza Motorsport 7, I forget what the actual Xbox button is to change my camera view. At least now I have it all set up on the real PC.
I was gonna say I don't think I use the default controls in Forza games because they swapped controls around, so I remap them.
I find the default ones in 7 are just fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like, I remember for a while, like the rewind was the back button, and I think I used to remap it to that, but I don't think I think after Horizon 4 they stopped letting you do that mapping easily, so I just stopped caring about it. I'm trying to remember what the
Rewind anyway, so.
trying to remember what the fucking camera one is. I think it's what, right bumper.
Sorry, what was that? I was
I
trying
think it's right bumper for the camera, isn't it?
In Forza 7, no, it's the back button.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's why I always forget that it's there, because it's like,
No, I will say one thing that's annoyed me, and this has been an issue in the last few Horizon games. There are a number of times where it becomes very apparent that they did not design some events in the game with the intention of you ever using anything but a chase camera.
yes.
Like they've been doing this new thing in 5, and they're fun little free world events, but they're very annoying to sometimes do with the cockpit cameras because you can't see the thing you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I barely played Horizon 5, like, I just got it the other day, so I don't
I
really know
I
much
enjoy
about
it, but it feels like more and more each Horizon game, it feels like the progression just gets less and less. And they just throw cars at you, which takes any real need to do anything out of the game when I have like all the cars and didn't really have to try.
Yeah, they lean too much on it just being open world, and that's something I've noticed in video gaming in general is they focus too much on the fact that it's open world that they kind of forget about how progression actually should work.
Well, I mean, like
You
the
don't
the
get a
fir-
full sense of progression.
the first game was open world, had progression. The story didn't age well, but like the progression system, I think that they may want to cycle back to something like that. Because honestly, I think one of the things that kind of hurts the game is just like, oh yeah, you're the fucking guy running this whole thing, so there's no stakes for anything.
Yeah.
Also, the strange abundance of random British people in Mexico, and then really cheesy like Mexican accents and just throwing in random Spanish, it just does not feel organic to me at all. It feels
Yeah, I agree.
pandering more than anything else. The game doesn't, to me, does a little bit more pandering than it probably needs to. I enjoy the map, although there's some things it's like, yeah, I'd like more of this and a little less of this. But the map's a decently good map. There are a few spots on the map that I don't go to very often, so I'm not really like used to some of these roads because they don't go anywhere useful. But there are whole sections of the maps like, yeah, I know this part of the map like the fucking back of my hand, and I get that in a lot of open world games. So
Well, like I said, I can't really speak to that too much because I haven't gotten that far. Uh, I will say though, I am not a fan of the quote unquote oval at the stadium. It's just Langhorne Speedway on steroids. It's so
You haven't experienced the new oval at the stadium then.
Oh?
As an evolving world thing last season, it was in the open world. Now it's just a like an event lab track that is, oh, what would I describe it more as? It's inside the ring of the stadium. It's better, although some cars don't handle it very well, and it's not a high speed
That's
oval
what
by
I'm
any
saying.
stretch.
Like, it's that ring that's on the inside of the
No, no, no,
stadium.
no,
It's
no,
like a perfect circle.
no. That's just the stadium. That's not intended to be a racetrack.
Oh.
No, they built a whole track with grandstands, a pit road, an infield with like a gymkhana setup, but it's weird that they did that. It's like, oh yeah, this is part of the open world for a month. The event will be there. That you can go do the event whenever, but to just drive it in free roam is only for this time period. I'm like, you guys keep putting really cool stuff in the stadium and then getting rid of it, and I don't know why.
And that's a bit ridiculous because I would love to have that oval for the purpose of testing a car out.
I mean, nothing stops you from doing an event to test it, but it's a little more annoying because you have to finish the event before you can change cars. Hey, they finally got around Gino.
Right. Or change anything to your car.
Yeah, well,
Because, I mean, at least with Forza Horizon 4, you could go to the Lego map and there's a proper oval there.
yeah. Well,
You could
I
still do everything you want.
I like that we sort of got a racetrack in 5, but it's not as fleshed out. I hope in 6 that somewhere on the map there is just a legitimate racetrack that is an actual track that is, out of motorsport. Even if it's one of their fictional ones, that is fully modeled. You can go test your cars there, do whatever, and it's a, event site. And then, you can just drive off the track.
What was it? Need for Speed Underground 2 had that?
That wasn't part of the free roam map.
No, but at least you could access it.
I was gonna say kind of like what the crew did, except actually model it well instead of having it be like Franken-Sebring.
Or the worst modeling of Laguna Seca ever in the first one.
I think it was the other way around, wasn't it? Wasn't that the second one? Because I've driven the Franken-Sebring. I've never played the second one.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was on the second one.
Or they might both be in the first one.
The Laguna Seca one was absolutely awful. I saw Jimmy Brown.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. You know what's funny?
I saw that video and I was like, that is Christ awful.
You know what game has a better version of Laguna Seca than the crew?
Star Wars Pirates.
Yes! That's what's amazing. Also, that was Games with Gold like last month. I really hope you grabbed it.
No, because I just got this Xbox last week. Yeah. But no, it's funny because when that got pointed out in certain subreddits, people were like, it's weird because it does like all George Lucas stuff. What would he know about racing? I'm like, what
Fucking
doesn't
Christ.
he know about racing?
I'll point out, I don't think he had anything to do with the development of the game, but they also did Sonoma.
Yes. I think they did a couple other tracks.
I think those are the only two I remember. I've got the fucking guide for the game, so I could look at all the track maps, but I think those were the only two that were an actual replica. I think there were some that were similar to real tracks. Like, I feel like there was one that was similar to Monza.
Avid racing fan.
I mean, he shows up at Monaco from time to time, so...
And he did the Toyota Celebrity Race quite a few times.
Oh, yeah, I remember that clip of the Tuscan Raiders taking him out at turn 1. I think that was a Frisky Nixon clip.
I also love all these people are like, wait, Frankie, what is racing in NASCAR?
First off, he's in ARCA. Second off...
Well, ARCA's owned by NASCAR now, so that's one of these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't refer to ARCA as NASCAR in the same way I wouldn't refer to the G League as the NBA.
Well, both are NBA sanctioned events, so yes.
That's why I picked that metaphor instead of the NFL and the CFL.
Right.
There's a podcast.
Sanctioned events, so it is fair to say that they are NBA.
There was a podcast I was listening to where they went down the whole rabbit hole of the name of the G League, and apparently, like, none of them realized that Gatorade just paid for them to put a G on it.
Mm-hmm. Because it was just D League before.
Yeah, it was like, what? But, like, you guys didn't know that this is a marketing thing? Like, why? And they were blown away by this. I thought it was so weird. I'm like, what? It's Gatorade. Why is this weird? It'd be weird if it was, I don't know, fucking Napa Auto Parts N League. Ooh, that'd be a great name for it.
Yeah,
Don't call it that.
You guys never noticed any sports sponsorship ever?
Yeah, it was just sort of weird. They're going to be really blown away when, you know, the Oklahoma City basketball team becomes the Oklahoma City Sonic Burgers. Or something weird. We got smoke in turn 1. Do we have a yellow? We do have a yellow on the speedway. What has happened in turn 1?
Grand Rapids has a G League team, and I've never been to a game. I've always wanted to go, just never have.
I don't even know, like, how the G League works. Ooh, Ronaldo Scott sent Reigns for a spin.
It's kind of like the American Hockey League, where it's like, you know, you're drafted by an NBA team, but they want to develop your skills a bit more first, and you're also available as, like, you know, fourth string on the bench at the same time kind of deal.
Yeah, but they don't play at the same time as the NBA, right?
They do.
Oh, I thought they played in the off season. That's what really had me confused.
They play during the winter.
Weird.
It's a similar schedule to that of college basketball.
Huh.
I think they start a little bit later and finish a little bit later in college basketball, but it's a similar schedule.
So it's like if you want the player to develop as a player like you're playing in college, but you want to get paid?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's a good way of putting it. It kind of makes me go,
And there's also sometimes where it's like kids that want to play basketball but don't want to have to go through the college bullshit either.
Mike Carroll losing a ton of spots here, and so is Tommy Davis. He's going way back here. Jeez, some guys with some terrible pit stops. He's going behind Kevin. He might be going to the back of the field here. He's still sitting.
Yeah, like I said, we've had a G League team for the better part of 8 years now, and I just never went. And of course, the original reason why I didn't go is because the whole reason arena racing in Grand Rapids went away is because of the G League team. So, for a while, just out of spite, I wouldn't go.
Spite's a valid reason to return an item.
Yes. Spite's a valid reason to feel refreshed. But, yeah, so just out of spite, I didn't go, but that hatred kind of went away. Now it's just pure, I just don't go. For me, it's like, I don't know, would I rather go to a G League basketball game where it's, you know, third-rate players playing, or would I rather go to Grand Rapids Griffins Arena Hockey or American Hockey League team?
You've actually got me vaguely curious, because, like, I don't like watching the NBA because I don't think they're playing good basketball, so I'm wondering if they're actually playing better basketball at the lower levels. Because, like, college basketball is way more entertaining for me to watch because it's better, like, they play defense, and it's not...
Passion.
Well, it's not all about showboating. The NBA's become the showboat run the score up league, and all the rules are there to promote offense.
Whatever team gives me a big paycheck.
I remember
Professional sports in general.
they'll have, you know, TVs on the bowling alley with sports on and stuff. And there was a basketball game on once. I looked up and like, they're halfway through the third, and it's 110 to 112. What happened to defense?
Yeah. And like I said,
what is this, Troy and DeVry?
My problem with most professional sports, not even just, you know, like all professional sports really, it's become, what team can I be the biggest show off for, and what city's going to cut me the biggest check? There's no passion in their play. The only thing they're really passionate about is the greed and the vanity.
Are we talking about LeBron James again?
Well, I mean, him and others. But that's why I like college sports, because it's like, these are kids that are like, I want to play for this school.
Well, and especially if you're looking at kids that are playing like in smaller conferences, they're there because they want to play the game. They're not there because they're trying to get drafted. Those are the fun games to watch.
Well, even like schools still, like, we're here for the game. Kids want to go to U of M and MSU because of their history of being a team. So, you could make that same argument for University of Alabama, though that kind of more falls into your category. But in general, these kids want to be there because they want to play. They want to play. They want to play for a good team, and they want to represent.
You play to win the game. All right, pace car coming in.
Like, oh yeah, I'm a Michigan kid. It's good for me to play for U of M or MSU, whatever.
Green, green, green.
Many such cases.
Oh yeah, that 7 does not appear to be up to speed.
By the way, I forgot how good Forza 7 does with cars.
Yeah, the biggest gripe, I have 2 big gripes of the game. One, you can't turn off the annoying fucking sound effects in the main menu.
Yes.
And 2, there weren't enough races, and the races that were there were all, like, I like the homologation idea. But I also wanted races that weren't that. If you had given me a whole, like, series of races that also were just, you know, class-based, country in class, you know, year in class, that kind of stuff, I'd have been very happy with the game. There just wasn't enough content there, single-player-wise, to keep me playing it. And the multiplayer on those games is always kind of full of shitheads and not very much fun. Because I rarely end up getting to race anybody.
GT has the shameful random series on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just like, I occasionally will get into some races in Horizon where it's like, hey, there's actually some driving standards. I'm paired with people that are similar speed to me. Although I've gotten into some. I've told you about one of my proudest moments in multiplayer for Horizon 5, right?
I don't believe you have.
You're familiar with the A-class meta in 4 and 5, right?
No.
The fucking Bone Shaker is horrendously broken and needs to be re-fucking PI'd because it doesn't belong in A-class and is so broken. That if you're running in an A-class lobby and somebody's in that, odds are they've got the tuning set up on it that just makes it untouchable by anything else. Yeah, I beat that guy. I'm trying with just a car that wasn't even all that tuned up. It was just I don't usually go any further than just putting upgrade parts on the car. I usually don't do much more than that unless I go out and drive it and go, no, there's a handling defect here that I can fix. I have, what is it? I think I've got a S. Is it an S or an A? It's one of the like early aughts Porsches where I went, I think it was a 996, where I went, I need to work on this. It has so much off-throttle understeer that I need to put some oversteer in this to make it actually a usable car. And I fucking got it much better.
Right. That's one thing I've always loved about Forza, is you can really take a car that's like, this would be better if, and actually put it into practice.
There was one game you couldn't do that in. Well, technically 2. The first Horizon and the Xbox 360 version of Horizon 2, you couldn't tune the car, you could only put parts on it.
Well, you gotta remember, I didn't touch any of the Horizon games till 4, so.
Yeah, I don't know which Horizon I would say is the best, because they each have some fairly substantial flaws.
I heard 3 was the best.
3 was pretty good. 3 had some things I really didn't like, though. I had some issues with the map and the environment. That there were trees that were the same width around and looked just like others that you could drive through, but the other ones you couldn't. And it was always a fucking annoyance.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
And they've got it. There was a little bit of that in 4, but not as bad. 5, I think, has mostly fixed it. That if a tree is a certain thickness around, you're just not driving through it unless it's a palm tree. So in all honesty, I would. One of the things though is with all the destructible like objects. One of the things that was nice in like 2 and 3, well, especially in 2, like with guardrails that you had to go around, is that if you were doing one of those events where you know then race to the next event, that you actually had to plan out a route instead of just having a car that goes straight through a fucking forest. The fucking free roam rush in Horizon 4 was just who didn't hit a tree. And it's the fucking Eliminator breaks down into that too. Which is, you drive through the fucking forest and hope you don't hit a tree. It's like, okay, this is kind of silly. There's a reason I don't play the Eliminator unless it's like I need it for festival completion or something.
Right.
Well, Mersdorf is fading. Diggs is taking the lead.
The one racing game franchise that I wish would be brought back is Motorstorm.
What was the one?
This game was so much fun.
So, I remember watching an early preview of this new Lego driving game. And it looked okay, but it also looked kind of stupid. I remember Lego Racers for the N64 and really kind of liking the customization aspect of that. And it looks like that's a thing in the new game, but I think I need to see more of that game to really know if it strikes me as a game that if it was on Game Pass, I would try it. If I liked it, then I'd buy the pass for it and get the DLC and shit. But it doesn't look like a game I'm just willing to throw money at. I'm trying to think, what are some...
That's how I feel about most video games in general now, which is why I don't mind paying for Game Pass, because it's like...
Yeah, no, Game Pass is great.
I don't care for too many modern games.
Oh, okay. I've got one that I'm pretty sure is still on Game Pass. I'm gonna recommend it.
The beauty of Game Pass, though, is like...
If you don't like it, you didn't lose anything but some time. Yeah, if you didn't like it, you just lost some time. I've got one, I'm pretty sure it's still on Game Pass, that I played a little bit. I want to play it some more and actually finish it, but I kind of got stuck at a spot where I felt like I needed to look something up. Give Tunic a try.
Tunic?
Yes.
Never even heard of it.
It clearly takes inspiration from The Legend of Zelda, like the old, like, top-down 2D kind of games. It's 2.5D, like, the gameplay kind of takes place in 2D, but the environments are 3D. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, but I did sort of... It's a game that doesn't tell you things, though. It, like, lets you figure out mechanics on your own, which can be good, but at the same time, if you feel like you're not getting something, just look it up.
Right.
But it was cute and fun. I'm trying to think what else is on Game Pass that I've enjoyed.
Right now, I have a lot of games I'm trying to catch up on both my Switch and
yeah, that's fair.
So adding anything to the list right now is a little...
I've got a bunch of stuff like installed on the Xbox. Like, oh yeah, when I need something to play, I'll play this. But recently, it's mostly been Breath of the Wild. I did my Forza for the day, well, for the week, because I needed to hit everything for the playlist to get me that. What was it? Like 70s or 80s F-150 or something? I think next week's a K10.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the K10, even though I want the F-150.
I'm trying to think, like... Here's the thing with that game. There are 2 cars I don't have that I'll be able to get in the next couple of weeks. There's 1 car that I somehow missed. I didn't get the Peel Trident. Otherwise, I have every other car in the entire game. All 700 and some odd of them.
Jesus.
I think there's 704 cars in the game, 2 you shouldn't be able to get yet. And I have 701 of them.
How'd you get the 2 that you weren't supposed to?
No. I don't. There are 2 that you should not be able to get yet that are next week and the week after seasonal playlist cars. Anybody that has them is cheating, and you get banned for that kind of shit. So, and then I don't have the Peel Trident. I check every now and then to see if I can find one on the auction place, but nobody has the spare because I think it's only ever been available once. And I just missed it somehow. I thought I already had it. I guess I thought it was the P50, which I already had.
So there's more than one Peel?
Yeah, there's the P50 and the Trident. They were both in 4 too, but the Trident I think was a car pass car or something, or was added later. It was certainly added later. They're completely stupid cars. Like, I'm not upset that I don't have the Peel. It's just the completionist in me wants to have that. Just like I think there's 1 car I'm missing in Horizon 4, but it's a pre-order car that I can only ever get if they just give it to me. I think I don't have... They gave away a few of them. They gave away the pre-order Porsche at one point. I don't... Or was that for 5? They gave away a few of them. But I stopped playing 4 when 5 came out. But I think it's the Camaro is the 1 car I don't have. And then the 1 car that they only gave to one Make-A-Wish kid. Which almost makes me want to look up if that kid, is still with us.
Yeah. Well, it was like the girl that gave Galen her
Oh.
that is still alive.
We got Smoke in turn 1. I bet he yells. You know what's funny? That story came up in one of the in the NASCAR Telegram chat I'm in. Because they were
NASCAR Telegram chats?
um, well, Kevin, there is an additional qualifier on that Telegram chat. Something Doug Spark broke. Doug Spark just broke into turn one and wiped out a bunch of cars.
Damn it.
He might continue, but he just slowed up and got rear-ended by Tom Barber, and that set off a chain reaction crash.
Because anytime I get invited to a group on Telegram, it's just prawn.
It's what?
Prawn.
Oh, I have not. I will rephrase that. I have been asked if I wanted an invite to an NSFW group. I said, no, that's not really my scene, because I knew enough people that were in that group to know what kind of NSFW they're posting. If you catch my drift.
I have some ideas, and none of it's all that savory.
I mean, like, more power to them. It's just not what gets me going.
Well, I got a group invite from a chat that I was in, and I'm like, oh, okay. It was just called like something. It seemed benign, so I'm like, okay, whatever. And it was outside of legal barriers.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't run into any of that
Put
kind
it
of shit.
that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like there was a period where on Telegram I think I was in for a while I was only in 2 groups. Then I got invited to a third, and the third group I got invited to, there's 4 of us in that group. um, but now there's so many I'm in that there's somebody that's in 3 of them that will post the same thing to all 3 sometimes. So I'll just watch ding 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 as he posts to all 3 groups. It's like I get that these aren't all the same people in each group, but for those of us that are in all of them, this is vaguely annoying. Looks like Doug is.
You can make your notifications not do that.
Well, it doesn't actually ding, but to see the notification go, oh, who posted? I'm like, oh. Like one of the first things I did was turn off the like sound notifications for Telegram on my phone because the aviation chat goes fucking crazy some days. And only sometimes are people actually legitimately like tagging me and stuff. I get tagged and stuff in there a whole lot more often than you would think. And that was very confused last night. People kept posting trains.
You mean like the Tennessee Cop kind of train, or like a CSX?
Like CSX, like
okay,
on rails choo choo.
Got it. So not the Tennessee Cop.
What was funny about it? There's a guy in there that has a sticker set he likes to pull out, where it's like levels of chat degenerating. Like there's what is it? Sticker spam, casual racism, politics, trains. That's the worst thing you can post. And the sticker just tickles me.
I'm in a lot of like silly Facebook tag groups, like people like the title of it will be like OP is about to get dragged worse than a child in a gorilla.
Okay, should I tell you the name of the one group?
I'm in a new one. It's called Not Only Am I Kink Shaming You, I'm also calling the ASPCA.
Jesus Christ. So, that one worries me, because I know people that I hope don't end up in that one.
And then there's another one that I know of that I'm in that's hilarious, too. It's called, the boy moms are getting incesty again.
So, the one I'm in that's very small is a group for dispatchers who also happen to be furries.
That's very specific.
Yes, there are 4 of us. We've noticed a 5th in the aviation chat, but they haven't joined our group. I am greatly disappointed that whoever started the group did not call it Dispatch Furs. Instead, it is called Oh Whoa Notices Your Sick Call.
Oh, God.
It's like, it's a hilarious group name, but it's like, okay. It's also the group.
Other groups that kind of like make fun of like boomer car culture. That's also great. Like I'm in one. It's called Hog Crankers Against Grass Clippings.
All right, getting ready to go green. 3 cars ahead of the leader at the tail end of the lead lap. Torgerson, McComas, and Spark. That'll actually mean that Sphere and Weston will be getting a lap back if a yellow comes out real quick. And we're green.
Yeah, Hog Drink is against Grass Clippins is one. There's another one called the Selena 52 Truck Stop, where it's like a parody of an actual truck stop.
See, those sort of... Kevin, I'm gonna throw out a term that's really hilarious to me that you're participating in on Telegram and I'm not. Those sort of RP servers are kind of fun, but I'm not in any of those.
It's not, yeah, it's kind of an RP server, but it's more like an in-joke.
Yeah, like
It's
people saying ridiculous things you would see in like a '70s trucker comedy.
But they frame it in a way where it's like, that's believable.
Yeah, no, that's fun kind of stuff.
And what's great is the Facebook group itself is like, you know, an RP group, but there's an actual Facebook page, and sometimes stuff will go viral from that page because people will think it's real.
Oh, what is the one? There's somebody that they run a page for a fake London airport. That people think it's a real airport sometimes get really confused.
Yeah, like the ones that I'm aware of, that is like the Selena 52 Truck Stop and Weaver Valley Speedway.
Yeah, weren't you wanting to make... Didn't you
cool.
want to make that track for 2003?
Yes.
I couldn't remember if that was you or Broderick that brought that up.
Well, I brought it up and Broderick was like, fuck yeah, do it.
I still find it really kind of strange. The last time I talked to Broderick, he got really a little bit cagey about painting him a new car. He's like, well, don't put any furry stuff on them. I'm like, bro, you're a brony. Like...
How is that any worse?
It's like, you and I are both cringe, so just accept it. I told you about that post on Reddit, right?
You've told me about a lot of posts.
The one about beans in your Volkswagen?
No.
So, somebody posted a picture like, how do you correctly hold beans in your GTI? And I was just like, well, you don't put... I have a rule, no food in the car. And somebody's like, well, I'm sure there's an exception for beans. I said, these aren't the beans I want in my car. And somebody said, okay, you got me curious. What kind of beans are you talking about? And I posted one of my Telegram stickers with the, toe beans. And they just said, that's a little sus. And I said, it's not sus, it's just cringe. Actually, it just occurred to me that sticker's on the car that's in this race. How far back am I falling in this field? Oh, there I am. I'm stuck behind a slow lap car.
I've never done this race before. Unfortunately.
Whoops, I accidentally paused. Yeah, there we go. There's the sticker.
Tonight's my Friday. Nice.
Beans!
My Friday's good. And I don't work a second job anymore as of last Friday, so I'm happy.
You got fired from your second job?
No, I quit.
Ah.
Because one, I'm trying to get completely clean of any alcohol dependency, and working at a bar probably isn't a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, so, matter of fact, as of today, I'm completely 2 weeks sober.
Well, I'm proud of you, dude.
Yeah. I will break it on my birthday. I will be going out for karaoke and a couple beers, but I'm not gonna get fucked.
I'm gonna ask something. Do you have friends that are going with you?
Yes.
I would recommend just having one of them know what the deal is with that and tell them, this is how many I'm allowing myself to have and don't let me do more.
Way ahead.
Or you probably talked to the proprietor of the place and said, do not serve me more than this many.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a good plan.
I'm way ahead of you. And well, what's funny is the person that hosts karaoke on Tuesday nights there is my best friend / kind of girlfriend's mom.
Okay.
So,
It took me a second to realize those were the same person.
Yes.
Like, you're dating his sister? That's weird.
No. And then my best friend, she also knows where my limit is. Like, not even my limit, like my tell of like when I'm starting to feel it pretty good. I don't know even know what my tell is, but apparently she knows it, so
You know what the great news is about that? It also means if you become hypoxic, she'll probably know that too, because those tells seem to be, in a lot of people, the same thing.
That's fair. But
Which is interesting.
yeah, so I'll be fine. No, it's just my birthday. I mean, hell, who doesn't want to have a couple drinks on their birthday? So
Yeah, I usually just the past few years I just sort of ignore my birthday and just let the day happen.
yeah, that's the one for me. It's like the one day where it's like, because I'm so not a selfish person. It's like that's the one day where I can just kind of focus on myself.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I usually if I focus on it, I find myself in a fairly depressive spiral, so I just don't worry about it and let it just be a day.
That's fair.
I think we've got a caution. Either that or the flagman at the end of the pit road decided he wanted to wave a flag. Nope, we've got a caution. I think Scott Drake has been in an incident.
Now because it doesn't mean that I get to go to the June race at Michigan International Speedway anymore because apparently Nashville needed it.
Ooh, Scott Drake got turned off of turn 2, hit the door of Tonto, and went for a ride. But kept it going. Didn't hit anything else.
As in Joe Tonto, the former IndyCar
No,
guy?
Tony Tonto Jr. But yes, when he gave me that name, that was the first thing I thought of was Driven. We were talking about that movie at work the other day. Somebody was asking, like, for recommendations for racing movies. I'm like, well, let's see. Rush is pretty good. Like, you won't notice the things that bother me in Rush. Le Mans slow, but, you know, very authentic. Grand Prix, if you're willing to accept that it's a movie of its time, like, has some... It's a little plotting, and some of the effects are good. Some of them are bad. What was the other one? Ford versus Ferrari. Like, same thing with Rush. If you don't know any better, you're not going to be bothered by the shit that pissed me off.
Made me laugh out loud, like dressing up Auto Club as if it was Daytona.
Yeah, they didn't even try.
Dude, that was hilarious. I
They,
was laughing.
they did so much better dressing up Road Atlanta. Like, they dressed up Road Atlanta so well.
And then they got to Auto Club and they're just like, fuck it.
Hell, they dressed up Willow Springs pretty well, too.
In the middle of this movie theater, and people are looking at me like I'm insane.
The lights in the safer barrier. Like, I'd even, like, excuse the safer barrier if they tried to hide it. Why did you turn the lights on?
No, let's forget that. The infield pit building that definitely did not exist at Daytona then.
Did not and never has.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I wasn't sure why they couldn't film it at Daytona or do some... They did plenty of CG on the movie in spots. I don't know why they didn't fake some of that. Although, something I did learn. That scene at sunset on the taxiway at the airport, that was done practically. They did not green screen that.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
the other thing is, too, they wanted to wreck Daytona for the Daytona scenes, but because of budgeting and scheduling, they couldn't make it happen.
yeah, like, you could dress up Auto Club better than that. You could put up some stuff to green screen out some stuff behind them, and it probably would have looked better. It's just like, it's not the worst thing ever. Did you ever see the third Men in Black?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they green screened a beach in Florida?
Yeah.
And it looks terrible. They could have just gone to a beach anywhere, and it would have been more believable.
They could have just went to any beach and just said, "Hey, look, we're in here."
Yeah, they could have gone to the fucking beach pool thing. It was at Paramount, where they could have just put up an ocean background, put some sand in, some green ass water, and it would have looked better. Like, what are we doing? I'm trying to think. There's definitely another. There's another pretty good racing movie, and it's not coming to me. Well, Days of Thunder's, fun. It's stupid and fun, but like not. There's a few continuity errors.
Fully Loaded, you're forgetting that one.
Fully Loaded wasn't about Herbie.
No, it was about Lindsay Lohan being a bitch.
About her being fully loaded.
Heyo.
With alcohol.
And Packer.
It was at that, shortly after that point in her life, I think she was a famous Hollywood alcoholic, unfortunately. But it sounds like she's actually gotten her life back together.
During that movie.
Oh, was it? The last I've heard, she's actually...
She walked out of the premiere of that movie because she was pissed off they didn't use a terrible remake of a song that she made.
Well, from what I hear...
They replaced it with Walking on Sunshine, and when that happened, she walked out and threw a fucking because he fit and got wasted, and it was a mess.
Yeah, from what I hear, she's really kind of turned a corner and is in a much better place. So it's kind of nice to hear that
That's what I've heard too.
she's healthier and
I mean, she
happy
runs
and
some sort of like private social club in LA now.
yeah, and she's not Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
So
No, you know,
it's got that going for her.
any day you wake up and you're not Gwyneth Paltrow, I think it's a good one.
Yeah, she's pretty high near the list of people you don't want to be. I know I'm forgetting a movie. Like, I wouldn't, just some random person, I wouldn't have them watch the Senna documentary, but
Right.
it's a good documentary if you're, like, into...
The Dale Earnhardt story. You don't want to watch
No.
that.
Like, if it's somebody that likes...
Remember.
If it's somebody that enjoys watching 30 for 30 kind of stuff, then sure, yeah, watch the Senna documentary. I think they'll enjoy it, but...
Well, even if you like 30 for 30, there's other ones that are better.
Well, the Senna one's pretty good.
Well, yeah, it's good, but honestly, the one that 30 for 30 did on Tim Richmond is better.
Yeah, I mean, the Senna one, it just has a couple... Really, the primary issue is, yeah, Prost and Senna hated each other on the track and didn't get along at all times, but at the end of the day, they weren't mortal enemies. I mean, Prost was a pallbearer at his funeral.
Right.
And I did not realize something that I don't think that movie pointed out. You know how that basically nobody went to Ratzenberger's funeral? I think Max Mosley went, and he said, "I'm here because nobody else was coming, and that's a disservice." He's like, people are like, "Why is nobody else here?" He's like, "It's like because we should all be here, and it's upsetting to me that nobody else is." It's like, wow, okay.
Which, you know, I get that. I mean, it's hard because it's like superstar of the sport died, but someone else did too.
It's the upsetting thing. Like, they nearly lost 3 drivers that weekend, and they nearly killed spectators too.
Yeah, like that whole race.
That whole race weekend was a wake-up call.
Yeah, they really should have stopped while they were ahead in many aspects.
The unfortunate thing.
Honestly, say the same about the 2001 Daytona 500 too.
The thing that's really kind of upsetting about that race weekend at Imola is the reaction to it. I will argue that we added too many chicanes to Imola.
We did. We overreacted.
Tamburello chicane, good idea. There was no way short of moving a river to create adequate runoff. And honestly, who was it? Was it Berger or Mansell that had crashed there a couple years prior? I was watching the, what was it? Was it the 1990 Phoenix race where they were talking about how he had cheated death in that race? I was like, I think it was Varsha said that. I'm like, ooh, Bob. Ixnay on the Tamburello, eh?
Yeah, history says that was a bad thing to say.
It's like you weren't, you were closer to the truth than you think. But it's like, I don't know that with the chicane at Tamburello, why do we need the chicane at Villeneuve? I don't think you get there fast enough for Ratzenberger's crash to happen again. But then again, who was it? Was it somebody in a spiker that flipped there in a race in 2006? They like got together like Nick Heidfeld or somebody, got wheel to wheel and flipped into the gravel trap. But it was a slow speed flip because it was at a chicane. I don't remember who it was in the spiker.
I don't remember, but unfortunately, I do have to take off.
Alright, have a good night.
I'll try to. Hopefully it's as slow as it was last night. I got out of work at 6:30 this morning.
Watch out for random parking lot coyotes.
We don't get coyotes, mostly deer.
Oh, you don't get bite dogs?
Nope.
What about foxes? Do you get those?
I haven't seen a fox, but we apparently have a few. I haven't seen it yet.
So you haven't found out.
There is a stretch of woods, a creek, and a railroad track right next to my work, so you know, wildlife.
Okay, so you haven't gotten to ask a fox what it says.
Not yet.
The noises
Anyway.
the noises foxes make are both adorable and hilarious.
Yes, I agree. But all right, man.
All right, have a good one.
Member left.
All right, Diggs leads over Beresford. Carroll's faded back. Still only one car out. Sphere 2 laps down. Spark, Torgerson, McComas, and Weston all 1 lap down. Tom Barber clearly has damage because he's way off the back of the field now. We have not had a green flag pit stop. This race has been broken up by minor incidents, most of which were into turn 1, one off at turn 2. No real problems yet in 3 and 4. Hopefully we keep it that way. Womack's moved up to P6. Current running order: Diggs, Beresford, Mersdorf, Whitman, Stephen Davis, Womack, Armstrong, Painter up to 8th. Stout in 9th, and P10 now is Mike Carroll. Painter started like last row, so that's a good improvement for him. And we're running out of laps. We've seen leaders be pretty dominant so far today, but hasn't been the same car the whole time. Beresford has gotten around Sphere. We'll see if he can bring this gap down and make a fight at the front. Gap came up that lap, though. Not a lot of attrition so far. And nobody's been lapped on track as of yet, although that 27 is, yeah, losing like a second and a half a lap, so they might catch him in a hurry here. Sphere kind of needs some cars to start falling out of this race to crawl some points back. Yeah, Beresford is being dropped by the leader. Diggs driving his heart out, trying to get away here. Coming up on 20 to go. Mersdorf trying to get around Sphere. He's had a strong car today. If he can get up here, maybe he can do something about it. It's a shame for these lead lap cars that Sphere's got such a good car, but it's good for him to have such a strong car. It's just a shame he's 2 down. It looks like Mersdorf did get around Sphere. So he might be coming for Beresford here quickly. See what the gap at the front is doing. Is it holding or getting bigger as we cross 20 to go? A little bit of a close that lap. But I think Mersdorf needs to get around this guy quick. He's clearly faster. And getting hung up racing is only going to help Diggs. He's holding the gap. But I think this pressure's just lit enough of a fire for him to stay close. I don't think it's going to get him up there. Yeah, Joe's got to find a way here. Laps are running out. Can't wait all day. Oops. We'll catch the 27 here pretty soon. It's the only one that's really terribly off song here. I think we're only going to catch him once, though. Yeah, there he is going off into 3 and 4 out ahead of the leader. They gained on the leader that lap. Yeah, Mersdorf's going to mess himself up here. He's going to get to the bottom. He's going to have to lift. He can stay alongside into turn 1, he might get him, but he's not going to. And the gaps come out. You gotta pop out off the corner, not in the middle of it. And now this has kind of put Gino in a weird spot where he's messing these guys' momentum up. Ooh, he got alongside him early here. He can rotate here. He's not going to clear him. Yeah, he's not going to have the run down the straightaway here. Gap is growing quickly now. And let's put Whitman all over the back of this. Barber looming ahead, but coming to 15 to go, I think Mullimer Diggs is a big enough gap to not need to worry about it. Gap came down a little bit, but they will not catch him at that rate. Beresford's stretching out a little bit here from Mersdorf now. Stephen Davis closing in on the back of this battle from the looks of it. See what the gap's done this time around. It's coming down. 2/10. I don't know if they'll get there, but this does apply a little pressure if Diggs gets checked up with some traffic. Still catching that 27. He really doesn't want to have to catch this guy before the end of the race. Ooh, battle for second, heating back up. That's maybe going to help. Help Diggs anyway. Yep, gap came back out here. Steers ended up on the outside again. That might help Beresford kind of find his groove again. Catching Barber quick now. Gap came down, but not a lot there. These guys need to not be racing each other. I can't fault a guy for going for second, but it's not worked and it's not helped anybody get closer to the leader here. Now they're fading back behind Beresford because they can't clear Sphere. Gap came down. Almost 2.5 tenths. Diggs has caught the lap car. Is he going to be able to go right past him? I think he will. And he's clear of the lap car. So that's out of the equation now. Unless this lap car is going to really roll the outside and check him up. Nope. So now Beresford's going to have to deal with the lap car. Gap went up even. This might be over. 10 to go. Catch this lap car in a good spot. This is not looking like a good spot to catch the lap car. Now this is about the worst place you could catch him. Right off the exit of 4. It's going to check him up. Pop on him here. Yeah, that's where you should have been popping on everybody else all day. Gap came down, shockingly. But I don't know that he's got the time to get there. Certainly not the rate he's gaining. He doesn't have the time. It does not look like there's anybody else at super imminent risk of getting lapped. I don't think Mullimer needs to worry about catching anybody else. He just needs eyes forward and to go. He needs to stay green, too. A yellow here would really put him in a bad spot. Because there would be a restart still. No real change in the gap there. I think we may be looking at a race forming up here for second and a race forming up for fourth. Stephen Davis is catching Whitman. See, Beresford make any time this lap. Just a minuscule gain, nowhere near enough to do anything about it. I just don't think he's going to catch. There's a lap car on the horizon. I don't think they're going to catch 37 now. Car's too far up the road, I think. Six to go. What's the gap at? It came down 3/10. Diggs might be having a problem here. Beresford may have just had the best lap of his race, though. Let's see. Be 5 to go here at the line. A few more gains like that, and he'll just get there. Mike Carroll's worked up to 7th now. Gap went right back out. Diggs stepped it back up. I think he's just managing. 5 laps to go. Not much use saving anything now. A yellow basically ends the race, so go all out. Don't think they're going to catch Nigel. Like I said, I think he's just a little further up the road than what they'll catch. We never did get a long green flag run in this race to see how that would shake out with traffic. I think traffic could have been a big factor, but the yellows kept coming out in such a way that removed it from the equation. Gap still at a second. Yeah, I think Diggs just needs to run nice, consistent laps here, and he'll be in good shape. Gap came down, but he's still got a little bit of a margin. 3 to go. Just got to manage it. Don't let him gain too much, but you can let him get a little close. I think you want to kind of manage your speed here. You really don't want to catch this lap car in the last lap. I think that's really the only thing he needs to worry about. No mistakes, and just manage your gap here. Manage the gap. 2 to go at the line. Slight gain, not enough to get anywhere near close yet. Yeah, we're not going to catch Nigel. Just do what you need to do. Starter's going to have the white flag in their hand for Diggs here, coming off of 4. Car's trying to charge behind him, but they are just too far back. White flag, one more time around. Gap went back up. He is in good shape. He can cruise here. Just bring it home. Down the backstretch. I think the battle's going to be here for second. But Diggs sends it off last time into 3 and 4. Nice big gap. No one near him. Checkered flag in the hand of the starter. Checkered flag in the air. Diggs is going to win the Schnucks 225, and behind him, drag race to the line. Beresford's going to beat it. Carroll's going to come home 7th. Painter, good charge up to 8th. Daniels 9th. Armstrong coming home 10th. Battle here for 11th. Disappointing finish for some of these guys back here. Donald faded way back. Kevin, good finish. P16 for that 46 team. Final running order: Mulliner Diggs, Adam Beresford, Joe Mersdorf, Roger Whitman, Stephen Davis, Frank Womack, Mike Carroll, Jack Painter, Dave Daniels, JT Armstrong, Yori Rodriguez in P11, Tommy Davis, Ron Stout, Tony Gunk, Dwight York, Kevin Corbett, Jim Fitzmaurice, P17 for that team, Jackson Batcher 18th, McDonald comes home 19th, Stephen Lowe 20th, Bobby Farrell 21st, Ben White, Tony Tonto Jr., Larry Sheldrick, Molitor Hill, Ryan Phillips, Jared Mogard, Scott Drake, Reno Jackson, John Cheeseman fades back to 30th. Ronaldo, Scott, Jacob Stump, Brandon Rains, Nigel Ramaswamy, Tom Barber 1 lap down, Doug Spark 1 lap down, Troy Torgerson, Bear McComas, Rod Weston 1 lap down, Geno Sphere 2 down, Inkman and Isaac Groth both out of the race with engine failures. And there's no winner screen for that track. Let's get you some points. Reminder, next week we hit the road course of Lime Rock Park. It's also getting very dark in my room. Very dark indeed. Alright, right complete. Alright, points are updated. Mike Carroll continues to lead. Mulliner Diggs moves up to second. Mersdorf up to third. Sphere drops 2 to fourth. Then we got Davis, Daniels, Beresford up 2. Ron Stout, Dwight York dropped 2. Jack Painter up 2. Tony Tonto Jr. Whitman picked up a spot. Rod Weston dropped 3. Tony Gunk up a spot. John Cheeseman down 1. Scott Drake, Ben White, Jackson Batcher, Stephen Davis picks up 2 spots into the top 20. Stephen Lowe lost the spot. Bobby Farrell up to 20th. Troy Torgerson out of the top 20 now. Mogard, then Spark, Ramaswamy, Sheldrick, Reno Jackson lost the spot. Kevin held his station. Molitor Hill up 1. JT Armstrong up 2 into 30th. Gene Stapleton lost 3. He missed the show. Brian Phillips picked up 3. Chad Glass down. Moorhead down. They missed the show. Bev missed the show, also down. Yori Rodriguez up 4 spots. Jim Fitzmaurice up 3. Frank Womack up 4. They are quickly climbing the standings now that they're making shows and getting good finishes. Good night, and we hope to see you next week from Lime Rock.